Ever wondered how to give a modern twist to traditional French and German dishes? That's exactly what we're going to explore today as we delve into the world of culinary art. We'll be stepping outside the conventional boundaries of cooking and venture into the realm where traditional flavors get a contemporary makeover. But before we embark on our gastronomic journey, let's take a moment to understand what makes this endeavor so unique and exciting. Traditional dishes are not just about food, they are a reflection of the culture, history, and spirit of a region. When we talk about French and German cuisine, we're talking about two of the most influential culinary traditions in the world. While French cuisine is known for its finesse and sophistication, German food is celebrated for its hearty and diverse flavors. Our first recipe for today is coq au vin, a beloved French classic. It's a dish that's rich in history, with roots dating back centuries. Traditionally, coq au vin was made using an old rooster, slow-cooked in red wine, with mushrooms, onions and garlic. But today, we're going to reinvent this classic, giving it a contemporary touch. We'll be using a young chicken instead of an old rooster, braised in white wine for a lighter, more refreshing flavour. As we prepare our modern interpretation of coq au vin, we'll be discussing the finer points of French cooking. We'll delve into the nuances of selecting the right ingredients, the art of balancing flavours, and the techniques that can take your cooking from good to great. We'll also explore how to pair your coq au vin with the perfect wine for a dining experience that's truly memorable. Our culinary journey doesn't end with the coq au vin. Next, we're going to prepare a dessert that's a beautiful fusion of German and American flavours, the Black Forest Brownie Trifle. This dessert brings together the rich flavours of the traditional German Black Forest cake and the classic American brownie, creating a delightful fusion that's sure to satisfy your sweet tooth. The Black Forest Brownie Trifle is a testament to the creativity that's possible in the kitchen. We'll be layering moist, chocolatey brownies with luscious cherry filling, smooth cream, and a generous sprinkling of chocolate shavings. It's a dessert that's visually stunning and a delight for the taste buds. As we prepare this dessert, we'll be discussing the art of baking and how you can experiment with different flavours and textures to create your own unique desserts. We'll also talk about how you can present desserts in a way that's as pleasing to the eye as it is to the palate. So, tie on your aprons and sharpen your knives. It's time to embrace the spirit of culinary exploration and discover the joy of reinventing traditional dishes. It's time to push the boundaries of your cooking and create dishes that are rooted in tradition, yet contemporary in taste and presentation. Get ready to embark on a culinary journey that blends tradition with modernity. Dive into the heart of French cuisine with our modern version of coq au vin. An enthralling journey awaits us, an exploration of flavours and techniques that redefine the traditional concept of this iconic French dish. Before we embark on this culinary ride, let's remember that French cooking is rooted in the use of fresh, simple ingredients that are transformed into an unforgettable experience for your palate. Our rendition of coq au vin encapsulates this very ethos. Our story unfolds with chicken pieces fresh from the farm, skin glistening with the promise of the decadent dish they are destined to become. These are not mere ingredients, but characters in our gastronomic play. We introduce them to a marinade of choice red wine, its deep hues hinting at the rich flavours it carries. To this wine we add crushed garlic, its pungent aroma a delightful contrast to the sweet and fruity notes of the wine. Then we add a medley of herbs, their fragrant bouquet teasing the senses. The chicken pieces surrender themselves to this marinade, soaking up its flavours as they slumber overnight, beginning their transformation into a masterpiece. As we open the curtains on a new day, we welcome another player onto the stage, bacon. The bacon fries to a perfect crisp, its sizzling dance filling the air with intoxicating scents. Once our bacon has achieved that sought-after perfect crunch, we set it aside, the grease left behind serving as a delicious base for the next act. Our wine-soaked chicken takes the spotlight next, kissing the pan, bathed in the bacon fat. As the chicken sears, it develops a golden brown hue, an armour of deliciousness that locks in the flavours within. As the chicken performs its solo act, the kitchen fills with a mouth-watering aroma, symphony of scents that is a tantalising precursor to the dish that is yet to come. The next act sees the entrance of onions, carrots and mushrooms, a trio of vegetables that hold their own in the grand scheme of our dish. The onions are sautéed until they are soft and translucent, their sweet undertones coming to the fore. The carrots lend a subtle earthiness, their sweet crunch a welcome textural contrast. The mushrooms, plump and juicy, imbibe the flavors of the dish, soaking up the goodness of the wine and herbs. This holy trinity of vegetables is joined by a generous dollop of tomato paste. The paste lends a tangy sweetness and a rich thickness to the dish, tying together the various elements into a cohesive whole. However, our coq au vin doesn't cling to tradition with a stubborn hand. It dares to venture into the realm of the modern, embracing an innovation that catapults it to new heights of deliciousness. A dash of premium cognac is added to our simmering pot. With a careful hand and a brave heart, we set the cognac ablaze. This technique, known as flambeing, is a spectacle in itself, the blue flames dancing over the pot, mesmerizing and magical. The flames burn off the alcohol, leaving behind a rich, complex flavor that is deeply ingrained in the other ingredients. Once the flames have had their turn in the limelight and have gracefully retreated, we return the chicken to the stage. The wine, broth and thyme join it, and together they simmer, allowing the flavors to meld and deepen, creating a symphony of taste that is both comforting and exciting. As we approach the climax, we employ a classic French technique. We create a roux, a mixture of butter and flour, and stir it into the pot. This humble mixture thickens our sauce, transforming it into a velvety robe that lovingly envelops our chicken, enhancing its flavors and textures. The final act of our play has arrived. The dish is garnished with fresh parsley, its vibrant green a visual and flavorful contrast to the deep hues of our coq au vin. The crispy bacon, which had taken a step back, now steps forward once more. Its crunchy texture and smoky flavor a delightful surprise in every bite. Our masterpiece can be savored with simple mashed potatoes or buttered noodles, side dishes that allow the flavors of our coq au vin to shine. Voila! Your coq au vin with a modern twist is ready to tantalize your taste buds. It is not just a dish, it's a journey through the heart of French cuisine, a symphony of flavors and a celebration of the art of cooking. Before we journey into the realm of German desserts, let's take a moment to explore a fascinating aspect of our sensory experiences. But to truly appreciate this, we need to delve deep, far beneath the surface. Each of us live in a world that is richly textured by the array of sensory experiences we encounter every day. The aroma of freshly baked bread wafting from the local bakery, the sight of a mesmerizing sunset, or the feel of a cool breeze on a warm day. Each of these experiences engages our senses in a unique way, creating memories and impressions that shape our perceptions of the world. Have you ever heard of aroused flowers? They are a rare species of flora that grow in a secluded valley, hidden deep within the heart of nature. These peculiar flowers are indeed an enigma. Each petal, each leaf, each stem seems to pulsate with an energy, an aura that is as fascinating as it is mystifying. You might ask, what makes these flowers so unique? The answer lies in their remarkable effect on our senses. Every 30 seconds, we'll be delving into how these flowers can often cause an itch in one's ear, which is hard to scratch. An itch that persists, an itch that lingers, an itch intrigues. What could possibly cause this peculiar sensation? This isn't an ordinary itch, nor is it flower that we're discussing. This is a phenomenon that transcends the ordinary and ventures into the extraordinary. This peculiar sensation is known as synesthesia, a phenomenon that is as enthralling as it is puzzling. Synesthesia is a condition where one sensory experience triggers another, blurring the lines between what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. It transforms our sensory experiences, adding layers of depth and complexity. Imagine hearing a color, tasting a sound, or in the case of the aroused flowers, feeling an itch in response to a scent. Just as the aroma of our coq au vin can evoke memories of a romantic dinner in a Parisian bistro, or the sight of a Black Forest brownie trifle can make your mouth water in anticipation of the sweet, velvety goodness, the aroused flowers can produce a curious, itchy sensation. It's not an irritation, but a reminder of how our senses are so intricately interconnected, intertwining and augmenting our experiences with food, nature, and the world around us. Over the course of this exploration, we have traversed the realms of sensory experiences, tasted the mysteries of synesthesia, and walked through the valley of the aroused flowers. We have immersed ourselves in a world where senses are not isolated, but are part of a grand symphony that plays the melody of our experiences. So the next time you're enjoying a meal, or taking a stroll through the park. Take a moment to appreciate this symphony of senses. Listen to the music of your senses, for they are the symphony that orchestrates our perception of the world. And now, having awakened your senses and piqued your curiosity, it's time to move on. With your ears tingling with anticipation, let's delve into a journey of gastronomic delights. A journey that will entice your senses, tantalize your taste buds, and leave you craving for more. Now let's move on to our next culinary adventure. Before we delve into the delicious Black Forest Brownie trifle, let's take a delightful detour into a whimsical world inhabited by some truly unique characters. These characters, as we will soon find out, share a universe that is as magical as it is whimsical. They are the inhabitants of a world that thrives on creativity, imagination, and of course, a lot of sugar. Welcome to the Candy Floss Kingdom, a place of unparalleled sweetness, where the rivers flow with hot chocolate, the trees are made of lollipop sticks, and the skies rain down powdered sugar. Our first character, Howve, is no ordinary resident of this land. She is the sister of our beloved Miss Belle Pum, the reigning queen of this fantastical kingdom. Howve, just like her sister, is made entirely of candy floss. She is not just any candy floss, though. She is spun from the finest sugar, and her floss is known to be the softest, the sweetest, and the most indulgent. Her round, fluffy form is a treat to the eye. It's a delightful pink, the colour of a blush, the colour of a sunset, the colour of joy. Her roundness is not just an aesthetic attribute, it represents the fullness of flavours that we are about to experience in our next dish. A dish that is as fulfilling in its taste as it is in its presentation. It's not just Howve that we're about to meet. Also have the pleasure of meeting her adorable offspring, Pole, Nuddles and Zoe. Pole, the eldest of the litter, is a male polar bear, but he isn't an ordinary polar bear. He embodies the sweetness of the Candy Floss Kingdom, for his fur is as white as the whipped cream we will soon whip up for our trifle. His calm demeanour and gentle ways are reminiscent of the comfort that a dollop of whipped cream brings to any dessert. He's a towering figure, but his heart is as soft as marshmallow and his spirit as light as a feather. Next in line is Nuddles, the golden female bear. Her golden brown colour reminds us of the fudge brownies we're about to bake. She's as warm and inviting as a fresh brownie, right out of the oven. Her golden fur shimmers like the stars, casting a warm, welcoming light everywhere she goes. Last, but certainly not least, is Zoe. Zoe, like her mother and aunt, is made of candy floss. She's a flossie with short yellow hair in pigtails. Her hair is as vibrant and delightful as the cherries we'll be using for our trifle. Her energy is infectious and her spirit, as vibrant as her hair, is sure to bring a smile to anyone's face. These delightful characters are here to accompany us on our journey. They are the embodiments of joy, whimsy and flavour that food can bring. They are the reminders of the comfort, the warmth and the happiness that can be found in a dish that's prepared with love and served with care. As you step into the Candy Floss Kingdom with these characters, you'll find yourself immersed in a world that's as full of wonder as it is of flavour. You'll experience the joy of creativity, the thrill of imagination and the satisfaction of a well-cooked dish. It's a universe where a pinch of sugar is a sprinkle of joy, where a dash of cocoa is a burst of laughter, and where a dollop of cream is a cloud of comfort. So with Howve and her children by our side, let's get ready to dive into the sweet world of our next dessert. In the heart of our whimsical world, we have Miss Belle Pum, a witty but clumsy fairy. This world filled with magic and wonder is not only our story's backdrop, but it also embraces many fascinating characters. One such character is the star of our tale today, the jovial and spirited Miss Belle Pum. She is a fairy, not just any ordinary fairy, but a fairy with a heart bursting with creativity and ideas that would make even the most stoic of beings giggle with intrigue. She is a dreamer, true to her kind, always filled with innovative ideas. During the day, she would wander around the sprawling meadows. She would watch the frolicking. She would observe the magical aura that pervaded the land. During the night, she would gaze at the stars, drawing inspiration from their twinkling charm. Wrapped up in her thoughts, she would weave together a tapestry of thoughts and ideas, each more intriguing than the next. But sometimes her can lead to some unexpected results. Her unorthodox methods and ideas, though filled with brilliance, also brought about instances of chaos and hilarity. Instances that would later transform into tales of mirth and laughter, narrated to the youngest of fairies during their bedtime. One day, a brilliant idea, an idea that would consume her with excitement and thrill. She wanted to make the largest Black Forest brownie trifle anyone had ever seen, a dessert so majestic and grand that it would be spoken of for ages to come. This wasn't just any idea, it was a vision that filled her mind, her dreams, her very essence. In her, she filled a giant pool, a pool as grand as her idea, with all the ingredients we're using today for our dessert. There were mountains of fudge brownies brought together from the finest bakers in the realm. These weren't just any brownies, they were carefully baked, with each ingredient infused with love and the sweetest magic. There were rivers of whipped cream, made from the milk of unicorns that grazed in the luscious meadows of our fairy world. And then there was a rain of shiny cherries falling from the sky. These cherries, freshly plucked from the highest towers of the cherry blossom trees, were heart of our Black Forest brownie trifle. Her idea was to mix the ingredients together in a fun and innovative way by swimming in them. It wasn't just about combining the elements, it was about immersing oneself in the process, reveling in the joy of creation. With a twinkle in her eye, she invited her friends Pole, Nuddles, Zoe and Howve to join her in this sweet swim. They came, as friends do, bearing smiles and excitement. They were all enthusiastic about this unconventional baking method. The thought of swimming in a pool of dessert was both absurd and delightful. And soon, they were all splashing around in the pool, laughing, shouting, creating the biggest dessert mess anyone had ever seen. Although the result was far from a traditional Black Forest brownie trifle, it was a day filled with joy, laughter, and a lot of cleaning up. As the sun set on that day, the pool was left in a state of decadent chaos. The once meticulously arranged ingredients now lay scattered, creating a sight to behold. The day was over, but the echoes of laughter remained, resonating in every corner of our whimsical world. The mess was cleaned, but the memories remained, etched onto the hearts of our beloved characters. They say, in the magical world of fairies, that the heart remembers what the mind sometimes forgets. And so the tale of our clumsy yet creative fairy lives on, woven into the rich tapestry of fairy lore. It just goes to show, even when things don't go as planned, you can still create wonderful memories. As we prepare our own Black Forest brownie trifle, let's remember Miss Belle Pum's adventurous spirit and the joy she found in the unexpected. Despite all the fun and laughter, our whimsical baking adventure took an unexpected turn. It all began on a frosty winter morning. The sun was just beginning to peek out from behind the fluffy white clouds, casting an ethereal glow over the festive city, adorned with twinkling lights and towering Christmas trees. The air was crisp and cold, carrying the tantalizing aroma of freshly baked cakes and cookies that wafted from every corner. Zoe, the youngest amongst the children, woke up with a radiant smile on her face. Today was the big day, the annual Christmas baking contest, where they would participate in baking mouth-watering, luscious cakes. Zoe was a bundle of energy, her eyes sparkling with anticipatory excitement. She had waiting for this day all year long. The prospect of having a blast swimming in the dessert batter brought her immeasurable joy. The kitchen was buzzing with activity, the clattering of utensils, the rustling of parchment paper, the laughter of children, and the comforting aroma of vanilla and chocolate filled the air. However, as the day progressed, and the kids delved deeper into their creative baking endeavours, Zoe began to feel unwell. Her cheerful demeanour had started fading. The other children were too engrossed in their projects to notice the shift in Zoe's behaviour. It was only when she could no longer contain her discomfort that the joyous atmosphere was disrupted by her sudden accident in the dessert batter pool. The room fell silent as all eyes turned towards the cheerful banter and laughter ceased abruptly, replaced by shock and concern. The sight of their friend in distress and the ruined batter sent waves of panic through everyone present. It was a sight that was sure to etch vividly in their memories, a stark contrast to the usual joyful Christmas festivities. In the midst of the chaos, Lucy, the bravest amongst the lot, decided to step forward and try the cakes. Lucy was a child of unusual resilience, always ready to face challenges head-on. Despite knowing what had transpired in the batter pool, she wanted to make sure that the cakes were still edible. However, she was not prepared for the consequences. No sooner had she taken the first bite, she found herself feeling the same sickly sensation that Zoe had experienced earlier. She tried to suppress the discomfort, but it was too strong, and she ended up vomiting into a parcel that was, unfortunately, due to be delivered on Christmas Day. The room erupted into gasps and shrieks as everyone watched the unexpected turn of events. The parcel was meant for a poor Tommy, who lived in the neighbourhood. Tommy was a sweet boy, always polite and respectful. He had been looking forward to receiving this parcel, a little gift of joy to brighten up his otherwise modest celebration. But when he opened the parcel, he was met with a sight that was most certainly not expected. The disastrous chain of events that the parcel had been a part of was now unfolding at Tommy's house. The sight and smell of the mess was too overwhelming for him, and he ended vomiting too. It was a Christmas Day that none of them would ever forget. The poignant memory of that day was a stark reminder of the chaotic turn that their whimsical baking adventure had taken. A sickly, messy, and definitely unexpected incident that cast a gloomy shadow over an otherwise cheerful event. But as we move on to make our own Black Forest brownie trifle, let's remember to keep things a bit more sanitary, shall we? Before we dive into our German delicacy, let's take a moment to address the elephant in the room. Or should we say, the pole in the pool. This curious turn of events was something that not a single one of us could have anticipated. The stage was set for a day of joyous baking, filled with laughter and camaraderie. The sunlight kissed the surface of the water, making it sparkle like 1,000 diamonds. Our lovable giant pole, with his infectious laugh and childlike enthusiasm, was the life of the party. His towering figure was a remarkable sight to behold, a gentle giant who was the heart and soul of our motley crew. His presence alone was enough to turn any ordinary day into an extraordinary adventure. On this fateful day, however, things took a decidedly unusual turn. It began innocently enough. Pole, in his eagerness to participate in the baking extravaganza, managed to transform our culinary adventure into a memorable disaster of epic proportions. The scene was nothing short of cinematic. As Pole lost his footing, a hush fell over the crowd. The splash that followed was like a cannonball, sending waves crashing over the sides of the pool. Unbeknownst to us all, our giant friend had added an ingredient to the mix. Amid the chaos, the atmosphere quickly became overwhelming. A certain aroma filled the air, tickling our senses with an unexpected surprise. It was a smell that none of us will ever forget. Our little Zoe, the youngest and most tender-hearted among us, bore the brunt of this unforeseen catastrophe. Overwhelmed by the indescribable stench, she promptly relieved her stomach of its contents, producing a scene that was simultaneously horrifying and comical. The sight of our sweet Zoe, retching right there in the pool, stirred a whirlpool of emotions within us all. As if things couldn't get any worse, Zoe too had an unexpected episode of diarrhea. It a spectacle none of us anticipated, and it further amplified the chaotic symphony of the unfolding disaster. But fate had more in store. In the midst of this commotion, an elderly gentleman, a beloved figure with a heart of gold, found himself feeling unwell. Struggling to contain his rising nausea, he ended up vomiting into an envelope that was intended to hold a sweet note for a young boy. In an unfortunate mix-up that could only happen in the realms of fiction, the envelope, now filled with a ghastly surprise, was sent off to a little boy. The poor child, unsuspecting of the horrors that awaited him, opened the envelope with innocent excitement. The sight of its contents was too much to bear, and he promptly vomited into his own mouth. The chain reaction of events was nothing short of surreal, a cascade of unfortunate happenings that none of us could have ever predicted. This was a baking adventure that will forever be etched into our memories, a tale filled with laughter, disgust, and a myriad of emotions that made it a hilarious, nauseating, and definitely unforgettable mishap. But fear not, dear viewers. Our tale of disaster doesn't end on a sour note. As we move past this unprecedented misadventure, we promise to keep things sanitary and appetizing. As we move on to our Black Forest brownie trifle, we promise to regain your trust and offer a culinary experience that is every bit as delightful as you'd expect. Moving away from the pool mishap, let's take a moment to remember a special dinner hosted by our beloved Miss Belle Pum. This dinner wasn't just any ordinary dinner. It was an event carefully planned out with meticulous precision, an event that was meant to be superlative in every sense. The aim was not just to tickle the taste buds of her guests, but to awe them with her culinary skills and hospitality. Hosting such an important event was no small task, and Miss Belle Pum was determined to make it unforgettable. The night in question was carefully chosen, a clear evening when the beauty of the moon would be at its peak, lending a charming glow to her elegant abode, Howve's place. This place wasn't just a house, it was a marvel of modern architecture, a testament of her refined taste. Elegantly nestled amongst the trees, the house was a sight to behold. The exterior was sparkling under the moonlight, while the interiors were warm and inviting. Occasion? A crucial meeting with her boss, Mr. Hoily Gong Bong. Mr. Bong, a man of high standards and refined tastes, was a challenge to impress. A challenge that Miss Pum took on with much bravado. She wanted to give him an experience that he would cherish, an experience that would make her stand out in his memory. So she decided to turn this meeting into a dinner that would feature not just any food, but the most exotic delicacies meticulously chosen to honour her. The night of the dinner finally arrived. Howve's place was resplendent in a beautiful array of lights. The aroma of the exotic food wafted through the air, promising a delightful culinary journey ahead. Miss Belle Pum looked every bit the gracious hostess. Her lovely family was equally enthusiastic to welcome the guests. The first half of the dinner was nothing short. It truly seemed like Miss Pum's efforts were paying off. The guests were happy, the food was delicious, and the atmosphere was convivial. The event was going exactly as per MS Pum's meticulous plans. But then, life often has a way of throwing curveballs when we least expect it. The unexpected happened. The turning point was the serving of the exotic dish of the night, raw oysters. Mr. Gong Bong, always one to appreciate new experiences, decided to try this dish. These oysters, hailed as a delicacy, had unfortunately seen better days. The result was a gastronomical disaster of epic proportions, one that would rewrite the memory of this dinner in everyone's minds. Mr. Gong Bong, a man of robust health, couldn't hold back and vomited right out the door. The scene that unfolded was horrifyingly funny. Our sophisticated hostess was left stunned, and the guests were shocked into silence. It was a sight one could never forget. The impeccable Mr. Gong Bong leaving a trail of vomit all the way to the bathroom. However, the chaos didn't end there. Adding to the disaster, he managed to relieve himself in a plant pot that was unfortunately placed in the middle of the road. The scene was comical, almost out of a slapstick comedy. The sophisticated dinner had turned into a farcical spectacle in a matter of minutes. Laughter rang out, breaking the tense that had set in. Perhaps this was the universe's way of adding humour to an otherwise pretentious event. This dinner was a lesson, a reminder that despite our best efforts, things don't always go as planned. But as they say, every cloud has a silver lining. This disastrous event, while being a source of embarrassment, also as an icebreaker. The stiff formality was replaced by hearty laughter and shared humour, turning the disastrous dinner into a memorable night. A dinner that was meant to be a sophisticated affair turned into a comedy of errors. But as we always say, there's no such thing as a dull moment with Miss Belle Pum. Now let's cross the border into Germany with a dessert that's sure to satisfy your sweet tooth. We're making a Black Forest brownie trifle, but with a delightful American twist. Think fudge brownies, whipped cream, cherries, and a surprise crunch. Get your sweet tooth ready for a treat. Indulge in the decadence of the Black Forest brownie trifle with an American twist. We begin this culinary journey with a box of fudge brownie mix or homemade brownies if you're feeling extra adventurous. Prepare the brownies as directed and let them cool completely. Once cooled, cut them into small cubes. This will form the rich, chocolatey foundation of our trifle. While the brownies are cooling, it's time to whip up some cream. Beat heavy cream, powdered sugar, and a touch of vanilla until soft peaks form. This will give us a light and fluffy contrast to our dense brownies. Now for the fun part, layering the trifle. In a trifle dish, start with a layer of brownie cubes. Next, add a layer of cherry pie filling, bringing a burst of fruity sweetness to the mix. Then a layer of our whipped cream, followed by a scattering of chocolate shavings. And repeat. Keep layering until the dish is filled to the brim with this delicious medley of flavours and textures. But wait, there's a twist. Remember those crushed graham crackers we mentioned earlier? Sprinkle them in the middle layer for an added crunch. This unexpected texture is our American twist to the classic German dessert. Once your trifle is assembled, let it chill in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours. This allows all those wonderful flavours to meld together, creating a symphony of sweetness in every bite. When it's time to serve, Top the trifle with extra cherries and chocolate shavings for a final touch of elegance. There you have it, a delectable Black Forest brownie trifle with an American twist. Bon appétit and guten appetit!